So yes, I got married at 18, and I started trying to drag my husband on the journey. Like, I want to be an actress, I want to be a model, and he 100% supported me as I was losing all our money and getting scammed. And I'd had this idea of teaching people how to get in the business for a while, honestly. Like, the first time I had the idea was like 2014, because I'd done stuff here and there. I've been on runways, I've been in magazines, but fear was stopping me. I was like, I have friends that are doing more than me. They're gonna think like I'm a scammer. They're gonna say like, what does she think she's doing? You know how we all have fear. But that night I was like, I'm just gonna jump. So the number one thing you need to know is that you don't pay an agency up front. Agencies don't get paid up front. Agencies get paid when you get paid because they've helped you to book a job. I'll say I'm not even kidding, I'll say I need an Asian child that's 5 years old, a male, and I will have Sally Beth email me and say, my child is not Asian, he's white, and he's also 15, but do you think you could use him? No. But I could put your email in the trash and block you because you just wasted my time, right?
Hey, wait. I know you want to watch this next video, but listen, if you are an entrepreneur, business coach, business consultant, or a small business owner who has a story and wants to learn how to create multiple streams of income from your story, I need you to text me right now, my book, to 646-687-4152. That is my personal number. I have been an author for over 12 years. I've written 10 books. 4 of them have been bestsellers, and I've sold over 100,000 books. But I've also helped a lot of my clients take their expertise and put it into a story, then create multiple streams of income from that. So I want to help you do the same thing. So text my book to 646-687-4152. All right, let's go back to the video. So welcome to another awesome episode of Inside the Vault with Ash Cash, the greatest money mindset show on the planet. Today I have an exciting show for you. We have Miss Kayla Inman in the building, the model maker and the unstoppable force behind getting started acting and modeling in Trussville, Alabama. After being sold the dream one too many times by fake agencies, Kayla has become a beacon of hope for thousands of families striving to break into the entertainment industry. As a devoted wife and mother of 4, she understands the importance of family and the desire to provide the best opportunities for our loved ones. That's why she's worked with over 5,000 families, including A-list celebrities like Grammy Award-winning Tasha Cobbs and Neo, and renowned models like Jada Waiter, Cheeves, I hope I said that right. With over a decade of experience, Kayla has great sets of every kind, from TV and film to commercial, print, and her results speak for themselves. With a success rate of 91% overall and 97% in Atlanta, Georgia, you can trust that Kayla is going to be able to guide you to success. Listen, I need you to pay attention because everybody who watches the show, we did the demographics. Everybody that watches this show is of a certain range. So I know you got kids. I know you got a family. I know you got a cousin, a nephew, a niece, somebody who could get into this game. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause, Miss Kayla Inman.
The way you read my bio, I need to have you travel with me. That's amazing.
I love to make sure that you understand, right? Like the introduction sets the tone. I need you to understand the energy that we're going into this interview with, but I also need you to understand, like when you hear it in that way, you realize like, yo, I do this for real, right? Because I feel like 5,000, like working with 5,000 families, especially getting them in the entertainment business is a big deal. Yeah. Because number one, a lot of times, especially in our community where it is always the adult that is making ends meet or whatever the case may be, not realizing that it can be a family affair,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to wait till your child becomes an adult in order to make money. But in the same breath, though, you don't want to exploit your child, right? You want your children to be children. And so we're going to talk about that because I know, one of the things I'm itching to ask about is this entertainment business because, there are a lot of child actors and people who get into the business who respectfully have gone crazy.
Right.
And when you hear about the entertainment business, we hear that it's the devil's playground. Mm-hmm. And so I want to talk about that. But before we go there, before we even start there, in your words, who is Kayla Inman?
Kayla Inman, the model maker. So I teach parents exactly how to get started in the business the right way. I have such a passion for parents that, really just don't know how to help their child, but have a desire to, because when I was younger, it was something that I really wanted to do, and I just didn't have any support. So I got scammed a bunch of times and, just tried to find my way. And once I figured out the right way to do it, I turned around and help other people. So I am a wife, a mom of 4.
When I read that, because you saw my reaction, I was like,
right.
What? Like you look young, very young,
yeah.
right? And I mean that respectfully.
Yeah.
And then when you said, a wife, a mother of 4
yeah.
Where? 4 what?
Listen, I had all 4.
4 cats?
Nope, all 4. My oldest is 14, so they're all in the business.
Wow.
And actually, that's how I got started in this business, as far as teaching people, because my oldest was in the movie Black Panther.
Wow.
And a lot of people were asking me how I was able to do it. And at the time, I have a pretty crazy story. I was dead broke at the time. And we're getting invited to interviews to talk about Black Panther, and I barely had gas to get to the interviews. But I knew that there was something there because so many people were asking about it. And in Atlanta, it wouldn't have been a big deal. Like, nobody would have cared because that's the hub for stuff like that. But in Birmingham, it was a really big deal. So I started teaching people one-on-one. I'd go to Starbucks and charge like $30 to teach them everything and pour out my heart and soul. And people started booking almost immediately. So I knew that, there was something there, and the rest is history. Never ran an ad. By word of mouth, I got to, be in a 7-figure company and working with all the celebrities that you named, and it's been a wild ride.
Wow. So let's unpack that though, right? Because there's a lot to unpack. And so your daughter gets a role, right? So first of all, you had the desire to be in the business. Yeah. You didn't have the guidance, and so you got taken advantage of a lot. Fast forward, you become a mother. Your daughter gets into the business, but even at the time that your daughter gets into the business, you're there to support her physically, if you will. But from a money perspective, you're still trying to figure it out. You're trying to, make it happen.
So yes, I got married at 18, and I started trying to drag my husband on the journey. Like, I want to be an actress, I want to be a model, and he 100% supported me as I was losing all our money and getting scammed. And then, by trial and error, I kind of figured out different things and how to get in the right way. And then when we had my oldest, that opportunity came about. And the funny thing is, she was only an extra in the movie, right? She was a featured extra, because you can see her. Like, if you watch the movie, she's the one that's like shoveling dirt over T'Challa when he goes to the underworld to see his dad. So because of that, everyone was like, oh my gosh, how did you get her in this movie? Like, this is so exciting. And I'm like, guys, it's not that deep. Like, she's only an extra. I was embarrassed, honestly. They were putting us in the newspaper. We met the mayor and were presented with this letter. I'm like, y'all, like, if this was 2 hours, like, I didn't want any of my Atlanta friends to see the buzz that was going on in Birmingham, because I was embarrassed. I'm like, they wouldn't care over there. But I knew.
Wait, why the embarrassment?
Because in Atlanta, like, that's just the thing. Like, you can be an extra any day of the week. Like, I could get booked when I leave out of here to go be on some movie set. Like, it's just what happens in Atlanta. In Birmingham, it's just not as prevalent. There's just not as many jobs. Like, people don't really know how to get in that business. Gotcha. So just that 2-hour difference is a big difference.
And but see, so and I just want to unpack that real quick, because that's actually life though, right? That's something that in certain places, the thing that you may be taking for granted is actually the blessing somewhere else and could create a 7-figure business, right? Yes. So the fact that you were you were almost embarrassed about the blessing.
Right.
Woo, go ahead.
I really was.
I want to make sure they caught that. Okay.
So it's funny. my mom, honestly, my mom has a lot to do with, I will say. So when I found out Bella was going to be in Black Panther, she's like, oh my gosh, my baby, she's going to be in a movie. She called the news station, and I'm like, Mom, like, she bought a red carpet. Like, we went to the movie theater and had this whole, like, you know, premiere for her, and she's an extra. But if it hadn't been for all that buzz that was created from a proud grandmother, you know, I probably wouldn't have had so many people reaching out like, oh my gosh, how did you do this? So I was like, well, they want to know. You know, it may be a little embarrassing, but they want to know. And it's just because they don't have the knowledge. Yeah. So like I said, at the time I was living in a house that was 900 square feet with 6 people. We barely had a car, definitely didn't have gas, you know, very, very broke days. But I sat on my living room floor one night and I was like, what can I do with all of this buzz that's going on? Like, am I going to waste it? And I'd had this idea of teaching people how to get in the business for a while, honestly. Like, the first time I had the idea was like 2014, because I'd done stuff here and there. I've been on runways, I've been in magazines, but fear was stopping me. I was like, I have friends that are doing more than me. They're gonna think like I'm a scammer. They're gonna say like, what does she think she's doing? You know how we all have fear. But that night I was like, I'm just gonna jump. I watched this video by Steve Harvey. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but he's talking to his audience about jumping and just not being afraid. So I posted something on my Instagram page, and I was like, I can teach you how to get your child in modeling for $30. It was a very ghetto ad. Like, I wrote on the picture of my daughter, and 2 people signed up that night.
Wow.
And I tell everyone that $70 changed my life because it told me that something I'd been thinking about for so long was actually something that could produce, that could manifest. So I made the $70, and my husband woke up. He was getting ready to go to work, night shift, $10 an hour. So I made $70. He was getting ready to go out of the house for $70. That, you know, a shift. Yes. That's about $70 after taxes. Yeah. So to me, that was major. It's like, wait, I can sit on my living room floor and make the same amount that he's getting ready to go out to work for. Yeah. And he's like, what do you mean you're gonna? And I said, I'm just gonna figure it out. I'll go to the library. I'll just, I'll tell him what I know. And I did. I fumbled through those first couple appointments, and that first person that I met with ended up booking Oshkosh Bagosh for her son. And that just, it lit a fire under me, like, this is something that I can actually do. And, word of mouth traveled, and, I've helped. It's actually 7,000 now. I didn't want to correct
7,000, let's go. Talk your ish, let's go.
Right.
Let's go.
Yeah, but we've been able to help tons of families to get started the right way. And I absolutely love what I do.
And so, I think that, and that's a beautiful story, and I love it. And we got to talk offline because you need a book. You don't have a book yet, so we need to talk about that. If y'all sidebar, if y'all don't know, that's what we do. We help people take their stories and put it into books. And I think that one of the reasons, and we'll talk about this, but one of the reasons why a book is important, right? Because it can become another way to get more clientele. Books, live forever. But another reason though is because I love how inspirational story is, right? Because again, and this is just me putting like my marketing hat on, right? In the middle of an interview, but I'm gonna do it, is, immediately the story of sort of like cursing the blessing, if you will, right? Embarrassed about the blessing. How many of us are doing that? How many of us do it every single day? How many of us have a story, have this thing that we're so familiar with, right? Like, we're so familiar with it because, let's say in Atlanta, this is nothing, but somewhere else, it can really help somebody that we're not putting the proper attention to, right? Yeah. And so I think that is a big highlight from there. But then even from the perspective of, having this mindset shift, right? This exchange of money where, we're told in our community we got to work hard for money, right? And so, your husband is exchanging time for money, right? He's about to go work the night shift, $10 an hour, but something like knowledge, like you have this knowledge, right. You share this knowledge, and somebody is able to take advantage of that knowledge, and you made $70, the same amount that the physical labor was going to do, but not even just that. Because I believe in universal law, right? So that's the reason why you have a 7-figure business is because that's $70 with good intentions. You taught somebody something that they actually learned from. Yep. They actually got a commercial in Oshkosh B'gosh,
Yeah.
right? And so not only is it, hey, this knowledge, I'm gonna give it away, but no, I'm not gonna give it away just to make the money, right? I'm gonna give it away to actually help people.
Yes.
So even while you were struggling and you were trying to figure things out, you were able to bless somebody with that knowledge to make money so they could take care of their family, and then that sort of like trickled down into you and your family. And so I wanted to kind of say that. And so with all of the sort of like fake agencies and people always, especially parents, right? I'm a parent of two. I have a 16-year-old, a 9-year-old, and my kids are gorgeous, and my son's an actor. Like they both can act. They need to be in the entertainment business. Yeah. But the same fear, like the same reason why I watched the documentaries that say that the entertainment business is a devil's playground. I see all of these scammers and fake people trying to just it's a photographer who is a photographer who's like, oh, I can get you in the business, and then now I'm paying for pictures that go nowhere.
Can we talk about that?
Give me some give me some steps. Like, what are some things to look out for with these like fake agencies to know who's who and what's real?
Absolutely, that's my favorite thing to do, and I call them out by name a lot of times. I might not do it today, but so the number one thing you need to know is that you don't pay an agency up front. Agencies don't get paid up front. Agencies get paid when you get paid because they've helped you to book a job. So if Disney comes to an agency and says, hey, I'm looking for talent, an African-American 16-year-old male, then that talent agency is going to see who they have in their database that they've signed that fits the specs. And then they're going to either, send those photos over or have them do an audition. That's how that process works. Now, if your son were to book it, then that's when he would get paid, right? He'd get paid for the job and then pay a percentage to the agency, about 10 to 15%. But agencies should not be getting paid up front for really any reason. And the way parents get got is because they will mask those fees in different things that sound legitimate. So one of them that you mentioned was photography. That's the one that gets most parents, because an agency will say, oh my gosh, we love your child. We're so interested. Here's the photo packages because we need photos of your child, which in reality, yes, they do need photos, but they shouldn't be the ones that are booking the photo shoots. If you have time to book a photo shoot, then you don't have time to get me booked. Like, what are you doing? So it shouldn't be in-house. They should say, like, hey, we have, some people that we recommend, Bob, Sally, Sue, you can choose from one of those, and then bring us back what we need so that we can market you. So that's the number one way that parents get taken advantage of, is that they pay a crazy amount of money for these photo packages. Another one is that they'll say they need a bunch of classes and workshops and, etiquette classes and runway classes. Listen, there's maybe 6% of the industry is high fashion. And that's when we think of modeling, we always think of like tall, skinny people on the runway. The more money is in print and commercial modeling. Like I have a 5-year-old client named Elijah in New York City. He's made $30,000 as a 5-year-old as a model.
Wow.
He's booked for Target and Cat and Jack, and he's booking every single day.
Wow.
He's made $30,000.
Wow.
You're not going to get paid that as a child on the runway. You're just not. So I see a ton of classes, especially here in Atlanta, where people are charging parents to teach their child how to walk on a runway.
Wow.
But you're not going to get paid to walk on a runway. So why would you pay money to learn a skill that you're not going to get paid for?
And I love, and I want people to catch that. You said 6% is
high fashion.
It's high fashion, right? So if 6% is high fashion, and that's where most of the people are paying, that makes sense. Like, and so look out for those, right? Because it's almost like, like the NBA, if you will, like if NBA or NFL, like the percentage is so small, everybody's trying to focus on this percentage, and this is how they get got. That's good.
And they're missing out on. For instance, Disney cruise ships, like their marketing, they typically will pay a family to come get on the cruise. I would love to go. I pay to get on a cruise, but they pay you to get on the cruise. They take pictures of you the whole weekend while you're, eating dinner or playing with Mickey Mouse or whatever. $25,000. Wow. I have a family that's booked that before.
Wow.
We just had a kid, Elijah, actually, he booked for Macy's.
Wow.
$6,000.
Wow.
He's 5 years old. But yet you have parents that are paying a couple thousand to learn how their child can walk on a runway, and no one's going to pay them to do that.
Right.
So there's way more money in print and commercial modeling. And another thing people don't know is that anyone can do this. Like Ash, you could be a model, okay? So, and I always love to give this example. you know those commercials where they're like, I've slipped, I've fallen, I can't get up. And the old lady's laying on the ground. Yeah. Baby girl did not slip or fall, and she can definitely get up, but she's laying there because she got a check to do so, right? She's 70 years old, and she's a model. She got paid to lay there. Life Alert commercials. Consumer Cellular, you know, where they're like the old people's cell phones, sorry. But they get paid to do that. Or you think about Coca-Cola commercials or ads where people are sitting around a picnic table and they're drinking Coca-Cola and laughing. Yeah. They got paid probably between $3,000 and $5,000 to do so. Yeah. So you don't have to be a certain size, a certain height, a certain weight. I work primarily with kids, but I can help anyone. We just got a 67-year-old signed last week in Birmingham to 3 different agencies.
Wow.
So this is a business that anyone can do, and there's a lot of money in it if you focus your efforts in the right place.
Yeah, and I like that you said that, because that was going to be the next question. Because I'm thinking, well, what do you have to look like, and all of these different things that make you qualify. But you're saying the everyday person doesn't matter. Everyday people, they're looking for regular folks.
Listen, I have a client that just, Hannah Nolan is her name. Her son's name is Cam, but Cam just booked a shoot for a pharmaceutical commercial. They flew him from Birmingham to Miami to do the shoot, and it was $6,000. And they were looking for a child that was overweight. Wow. That was the casting. We need an overweight Caucasian child between the ages of like 9 and 12, and he booked it. Wow. For being overweight, $6,000. Like, there's castings for people with one hand, like in a wheelchair, kids that are missing teeth. Like, you can find anything. Yeah.
And so now, all right, like, how does someone start? And I know we'll talk about this later, because you actually have a master class. Yes. Where you're gonna teach, you're gonna go into all of this stuff. So make sure y'all pay attention. I will put the link in the description where you can sign up for her master class. But like, somebody is looking to start, right? Yeah. Like what would be their first step?
The first thing is you do need good photos. So if your child is under the age of 5, you can actually get away with snapshots from your cell phone. So I tell people to stand their child against a blank wall, or yourself against a blank wall, looking directly at the camera and making sure the smile is real. So we're not going to tell our child to say cheese, because that's the creepy smile, and we all know. So just, get a real smile, looking directly at the camera. And those photos you can actually submit to agencies. Now, once they want to sign them, they may have you go ahead and get professional photos. But for the most part, if you're under the age of 5, you can kind of get away with snapshots like that. And then for those who are over the age of 5, up to adults, you want to make sure that you have some really good headshots. And that's really one of the biggest parts of this. Because,
what about AI? Can I use my AI Snapchat?
Please don't. Y'all stop. And take it off your profile picture, too. That's...
Oh, man. Look. I feel attacked.
Listen,
because my AI is it your profile picture? It's really my profile picture, though.
Please tell me it looks real.
I'm going to need y'all to put that on the screen.
Listen, I can spot an AI picture. Stop. I got to see it closer later, and I'll tell you. They haven't gotten looking real enough to me where I would put that. They just look fake to me. But again, it's giving cartoon. But one thing about headshots is that it's not just a picture of your head and shoulders. And a lot of times people go wrong because they're getting their cousin Pookie to take their headshot that also does weddings, that also does events. You want to make sure that you're going to an actor headshot photographer, that all they do is actor headshots, because it looks a certain way. And I was spinning my wheels for years, getting my friends to take them, and going to JCPenney. Like, you just can't do that. It has to look cinematic, and it's called a theatrical headshot. But that's the second thing, is that you have to have a really, really good headshot. And then once you have a good photo, you just want to start shopping yourself around. So looking for legitimate agencies in your area that aren't charging. And sometimes it can be hard to find. People send me names of agencies all the time. They're like, hey, is this legit? And I'll look it up for them real quick, and I can tell really quickly if it's legit now. But the things that you obviously want to look for are they talking about workshops and classes? Are the headshots of the people they've already signed industry standard? So I just told you what they need to look like. Look on their website, because sometimes I see some, school photos and pictures where they're...
Which is a dead giveaway.
Right, because you signed any and everyone, because you probably charged them. So yeah, just really good headshots, and then just start sending them to the agencies. And make sure you only send them what they ask for. So you can go on any agency website, and it will tell you exactly what they want. It'll say send your name, age, height, weight, and 3 photos, or name, age, height, weight, and 1 photo. You just want to make sure that you pay attention to directions, because this is my own made up statistic, but I'm pretty sure it's really close. Like 50% of the people that apply to these agencies aren't doing it the right way. So you're not even up against 100% of the people that apply. 50% of them are not going to pay attention to directions. And I know this because I do casting myself. Like, sometimes companies will come to me and say they need kids, and I'll have them email me for the casting, and I'll say I'm not even kidding, I'll say I need an Asian child that's 5 years old, a male, and I will have Sally Beth email me and say, my child is not Asian, he's white, and he's also 15, but do you think you could use him?
Wow.
No. But I could put your email in the trash and block you because you just wasted my time, right? So a lot of times people just don't pay attention to directions. Have you ever been on Facebook and you see your friends like having a cookout? I'm having a cookout on Sunday, we're gonna have fish, bring a lawn chair. What are people in the comments saying? When is it?
Right.
Is it gonna be on Friday? Are you selling donuts? Should I bring a boat? Like, can you read? People can't read.
Right.
So, pay attention to directions. That's going to put you ahead of half of the people that are already applying. And then just wait and be patient. It's not, for my clients, sometimes it happens overnight, but it's not going to happen overnight for everybody. So you just have to, keep on going until you get a reply.
Yeah. And I love, right, that, in reading your bio, you have a success rate of 91% overall, and 97% as it relates to Atlanta. What has contributed to that success rate? Like how are you so good?
So I think it's just the knowledge of what works. So those statistics are for my VIP clients. So there's really two ways that I work with people. Typically it's the DIY course where they can watch it and implement what I teach them themselves, or my VIP program where we do that work for you. And with VIP, we have just found out exactly what agencies are looking for. We know what kind of photos work and what doesn't. We know what to say to them and what not to say, as far as when we're emailing them and pitching these clients, we know what to say. We just know what we're looking for. And, we've done this for so many different clients that we just kind of figured out the game. We know what agency loves kids with big curly hair. So if we get a client in, we're like, oh my gosh, I know Suzanne is going to love this kid. Or, oh, this agency in New York is going to be great for this one because he's autistic and they have a division for that. So I really just think it's the knowledge that I have and that I've taught my team that makes us so successful.
And so let's talk a little bit about I guess financial literacy, as I like to call it, right? Where now you're getting all of these kids are making the money because they're kids. How does that work from a monetary perspective? Are the parents the ones responsible for this money now? Can they spend it however they want? Like, how does that work?
That's a good question. So it really depends on where you live. So when a child gets paid, the money is going to come in their name. And I have a funny story about that. My son, when he was 6 years old, he booked a shoot for Dollywood Parks, and he got paid $3,000 literally to ride a roller coaster. And this was still back in our broke days now, okay? So don't judge me. I love when parents come to me and they're like, oh, I'm putting this up for their college fund. I'm like, baby, I'm putting a roof over my kid's head and feeding them oatmeal tonight, so that's where the money's going. So we were trying to cash a check, and it was in his name. So go to the bank, and they're like, how does a 6-year-old make $3,000? Like, they weren't even trying to help us cash a check. They were more concerned with how he made the money and how they could. So I'm selling my services in the bank. I'm like, I really need this check cash, but you can come to my class and I can teach you how to do it. So we had a lot of trouble getting that check cash for him, and we ended up taking it to the hood. I know that's horrible. We ended up taking it to the hood, but they just don't care. They wanted their 10 to 15%. They didn't care. But from that experience, I learned that kids need to have, either a bank account or have their name on their parents' bank account so that you don't have that kind of trouble. So that's one thing, to make sure that you're prepared for those checks to come in. And then the other thing is, it depends on where you live, how strict the laws are. So here in the Southeast, there's not really any laws about how the money should be spent or anything like that. Now in New York and LA and places like that where the business is a little bit more prevalent, there are laws. So there's something called a Coogan account that you have to open when you're in certain areas, and that means that the money has to go in there, and there's only a certain percentage that you can use, and that can be used for headshots and things like that to help your child stay in the business.
That's good to know.
So yeah, there are laws in certain places. Where I am, they don't have those kind of restrictions, but it just depends on where you get signed and where you start working.
All right, so if you're part of the business and you start making some money, move to one of the states where you can do whatever you want with the money. No, I'm just joking. And then so how does and I'm glad that you said that though, right? Because me as a financial educator, that's the first thing I think of, right? I think about financial literacy, if you will, as it relates to the kid and the parent, right? Because if you're a parent who doesn't have financial literacy per se, and then now all this money is coming in for your child. How are you going to manage this money if you don't have sort of like that that financial knowledge? And then that's what actually leads to a lot of exploitation also. Because I was watching the documentary where they talk about like Nickelodeon and all these things that happen to child actors and things of that nature. A lot of it is because the parents allow it, right? The parents kind of see what's going on, but they are so focused on the money that they don't want to mess it up. So they let the people in this industry do whatever. How do you protect yourself from that?
That's a great question. I mean, that's a question I get asked a lot. So from what I've seen, and my kids have been in the industry since they were babies, there's a lot of protections that have been put in place since, it's been more widely known that some of the stuff is going on. So like, for instance, when we were on set of Tyler Perry does a great job of making sure that the kids are safe and protected. They have a liaison on set that's your go-to person. So if you have any questions about your child's schedule or you have any concerns about anything, then you have a go-to person that will take care of that. They make sure that there's schooling on set if you're on set for a certain amount of hours, the kids have to be on, being taught while they're on set. So I've seen a ton of protections and things in place to protect kids, but the main thing comes down to the parent. And it's just like you said, I believe that sometimes parents get so caught up in the success or not wanting to make waves because they're excited to even have had the opportunity that they are not advocating for their child. So, you can't be so caught up in what it looks like or the money or any of that you're not protecting your child. So for my daughter, even on set of Black Panther, like she was an extra, so she didn't have it was still pretty long hours. And there was one night she had filmed the first day, and then the second day when we were getting ready to go, like she was like, "Mommy, I'm tired." And I had that moment where I'm like, this is Black Panther, girl, you better get yourself together, you know what I mean? Right. But I had to say, oh, this is how it happens. Yeah. And I remember where I was standing. We were in our hotel, and she was standing there in front of the bed, and I was like, this is how that happens. And I had that revelation. And I'm like, well, do you want to do this? Are you so exhausted that you're telling Mommy you don't want to do this? Because if you don't want to do it, we can call it quits. Yeah. And she's like, but I told her, like, you signed on for this. This is something you said you're going to do. But if it's that serious, then we can pull you and we don't have to do this anymore. And she decided that she wanted to do it, and we continued. But as a parent, you just have to not allow the glitz and the glam to blindside you to the point where you're forcing your child to do something that they don't want to do. A lot of my clients get their kids in the business when they're babies. But when they get of a certain age, if that's something that, you see that it's your dream more than theirs, then you just have to be realistic and say, like, I love my child more than, what are you really doing it for? If you're forcing them to do it, it's for you. Right. And we can get you started. Like, I can help you get started yourself. You don't have to force your child to do it. So I think it's just about, being brave and speaking up and not being afraid of the opportunity being taken away from you if you don't. If you decide to speak up for yourself, you should always speak up, because I believe that any opportunity that's supposed to be yours will be yours, and you don't have to be quiet about something in order to do that.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because I think that's where people get jammed up, right? I think that, like, even when you think about these documentaries and you hear about these adults taking advantage of children, and in my as a parent, I'm like, how could that even happen? Yeah. But I also have to remind myself that I am a parent with means, though, right? Meaning that, whether it's money, whether it's talent, whether it's ability, right? Like, I'm fortunate enough to be in a position that at any moment I can create money, right? I have the skill set to do that. But there's a lot of parents that don't, right? A lot of them who this is their only way out, if you will, or they think, right? Because my thought process is, if you have breath in your body and you could figure out, right, how to make some stuff happen, right? So I don't think that there's really only this only way out, but in their mind, right, they think, oh, this is my opportunity, and that lack mentality, right? You see, abundance is your birthright. That lack mentality is what has them turning a blind eye to this,
Right.
and allowing their kids to, be taken advantage of. What is the trajectory of of someone who gets into the business, right? Meaning that, you start off, you do commercials, you do acting. Is there a way, is this a beginning process to, get into the movies and become an actor, actress? Like, what is the typical success trajectory, of kids getting into the business?
Yeah, so it really depends on how far you want to go and how serious you are with it. So, print and commercial modeling is a little less strenuous than getting into like film and television, because obviously like it's typically a 1 or 2 day shoot when you're doing print and commercial work. It's really fun. There's snacks on set. I mean, they treat you like royalty, and then you leave and you get paid. As far as film and commercial goes, that's a little bit more work, because you're learning lines, and you're filming for months at a time, and you have an acting coach, and you still have to go to school, and you have sports. So it depends on how far the child wants to go, really. Like I have several clients that just do mainly print and commercial work, and even that keeps them busy. I have a client in Chicago. She's 2 years old. She's turned 3. She's made $13,000 so far. Her name is Skylar. But her mom was just telling me, I actually hired her mom. I hire all my clients. But her mom was just telling me, like, this is becoming a full-time job for me. She has auditions due, at 8 o'clock, and I have to get off work early and go do this and, like, call off. So it can get really busy. You just need to let your agency know, like, what you're willing to do and how much time you want to put into it. But, I have some kids that are very serious about this, and they're taking acting classes, and they're, constantly auditioning, and they could end up doing this full time and have their parents quit their job and move to New York. It's about how much time you want to put into it and how serious the kid is about it.
Yeah. And then what's the mindset that a parent and a child has to have in order to be successful? Because to me, it sounds pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
You connect with somebody, we'll connect with someone like you. You'll point us in the right directions. Our kids get booked. They show up. End of story. We get checks, and that's it, right? In my mind.
Right.
But as somebody that's in the business, right? What is that mindset that a parent has to have and a child has to have in order to be successful?
You're a good question asker. I take you on the road with me. That's a great question. So you really have to teach your child has to be resilient, and you have to teach them that, this is not always going to happen overnight. And that you have to have a no-quit attitude. So for instance, there's a lot of auditions that you'll do that you don't book, and you may not ever get feedback on why you didn't book it. So what I teach my parents to teach their child is, once you do an audition, leave it in the room. Like, literally forget about it. Go out of the room, celebrate the fact that you did it. All your job is to audition. Your job is not to book. That's why I teach kids. Your job is to do the audition. Your job is not to book. The booking is up to production and the director, and there's a million reasons why you may not get booked for a job. So I don't want kids to feel like they, are not confident in themselves when they don't get a job, because that can happen. So as long as you set the expectation beforehand, before they go in that room, like, you got the audition, which is amazing. A lot of kids didn't even get the opportunity to audition. So just having them be excited about the audition and not necessarily booking it is very important. And that helps them to keep going to the next audition and the next audition until they do book it, and not obsessing over whether or not they're going to book it or why not. And I have a story for that too. I'm full of stories. So my daughter was up for a Spike Lee role. He was actually filming in Birmingham, and he was like really hands-on. So her audition went directly to Spike Lee. And it wasn't a speaking role, but it was a featured role. It was a named character. So we did the audition, and the person that filmed her audition at the time was somebody that I had rapport with. So she tells me that Spike loved her audition. She was like, Spike was like, oh my gosh, she's a killer. Like, that was a great audition. So basically she was booked. Like, we hadn't gotten official word yet, but what I heard was that Bella was gonna book the job. So she tells me that they were actually filming in Montgomery. So one of the actors for another role, a male actor, came in for his audition, and he happened to bring his daughter with him, right? And while he's doing his audition, they're like, we have another role for a little girl. Can we go ahead and throw her on camera? She's just with him, with her dad, like playing with an iPad. So they auditioned her, and they end up choosing that little girl simply because she lived in Montgomery, and they wouldn't have to pay for travel because we're in Birmingham, an hour and 45 minutes away, right? So they were like, "This is much easier. She's at home. We're just gonna book her instead." I wouldn't have known any of this had it not been for my friend, the casting director, telling me this, right? Bella would have went and done her audition, and then some weeks went by, she figures she didn't book it, and then she goes on about her life. But I just happened to know that my baby had booked it, and the only reason she didn't get it is because this little girl in Montgomery, and I'm kidding. But that, to me, was more valuable, that knowledge, than her having booked it, because it just reinforced the idea to me that there's all kinds of stuff going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of reasons why you might not book something. I heard of a guy not booking someone because she reminded him of his ex-wife.
Wow.
And she would have been the person for the job.
Yeah.
And he's like, I couldn't be on set with her day in and day out, reminding me of my ex-wife that I hate.
And that's very important because, I mean, I have a similar story for Crooklyn, actually. So when I was younger, I actually auditioned for Crooklyn, which is a Spike Lee joint. And I didn't get it. One of the kids from my school, he actually wound up passing away, but one of the kids from my school actually got the role. Rest in peace to Carlton. And you know, for me, I think that, and I'm glad that you mentioned this resiliency, because when I was in junior high school, I wanted to be an actor, and you know, even in high school, I had auditioned for a role. And I didn't get the role, not because I wasn't the best person, only because I was a freshman.
Wow.
Right? And then the person that they chose for the role was a senior, and they in their minds, they were like, I have all the opportunity, like I can continue to get this role next year and do that. But for me, I took it personal. I actually wound up quitting because of it. Yeah, I wound up quitting acting because of that. But again, just like you, right? I didn't have a support system, right? And so I was the adult. I was making all of the decisions, even as a freshman in high school. And so if I had that support system, someone who was able to say, no, like this is the reason. And then again, in hindsight, I'm like, man, this is the reason I should have stayed. But there's a lot of things that you know, with the right support, I would have been able to continue to do, right? This is why, you know, support is important. This is why, you know, having the right people in place is important. Talk to us about your masterclass. You got a masterclass that you give. Talk to us about that.
So I've been doing a masterclass every Thursday. It's via Zoom, but I'm just giving the information that parents really need to know. So we talk a lot about, you know, things to stay away from, how to approach agencies and how to find legitimate agencies, you know, what kind of photos to send them. We give lists of agencies and lists of photographers and just all the information that it really takes to launch in this business. So I highly recommend signing up for it. We've had, and the class is free, actually. I forgot to mention that part. It's a free masterclass, so it's modelmakermasterclass.com, but we've already had several people get signed based off the free information that I've been giving on these lives. So if you hop on and you actually pay attention and take notes, then it can 100% work for you.
Wow.
So I'm excited.
I love that. And again, you know, I think that, you know, there are billions of dollars that these corporations are paying in advertising and marketing, commercials and print is part of that. And so this is money that is available to you that you don't, that you're not even in the running. You don't even realize is there.
I say all the time, like, so my family and I we've been on set, we've probably booked 100 jobs together. But the things that they have us do and pay us for, it's almost confusing. Like, we booked a job in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they had us show up at a park. They had hula hoops and bubbles, and we literally walked through the park with our kids hula hooping and blowing bubbles while they took pictures of us, and we got paid $600 cash. Like, we did a COVID PSA, and they had us show up at Hoover, Alabama, sit on the steps of this really nice house, and look at each other and laugh and talk. I was on set for 9 minutes. Wow. $1,700 cash. Wow. Like, you're being a family for free. Wow. You walk through the park for free. You're walking around Target pushing a cart for free. I have a client just booked that for $5,000. Like, it's a no-brainer. It really is. Get the information that you need to learn how to get in this business and make this free money, because you're going to walk around looking like you look for free anyway.
And here's another question though, is like, because you mentioned, I mean, you know, your business is in Alabama. There's a lot of things that are happening in Alabama. Is that, but to me, right, and I don't know, right, but to me, Alabama seems like the most unlikely place for entertainment.
Yeah, and it is. There's really not a ton going on there. It just happens to be where I live.
Yeah.
I work with people remotely. Like I have clients in almost all 50 states. Haven't figured out Alaska yet. I don't know about y'all, but yeah, I work remotely with all of my clients. So I have people in New York and California and Texas. There's not a ton that goes on in Alabama. It just happens to be where I live, and there's a little bit there. So I help people get started. Some in but honestly, my clientele is not even in Birmingham anymore. I probably have 2% of my clients that are in Birmingham now. Once I branched out and felt confident helping people in other places, there's some there, but I work with people everywhere, so it doesn't really matter.
And I'm glad you said that. So this knowledge that you have works small states, big states, small cities, big cities. And then are there opportunities where, let's say if I'm in Atlanta and there's an opportunity in New York for my child, are those opportunities there as well?
There are. A lot of castings they want you to live locally.
Gotcha.
What I tell people is if you have a friend or family member that lives there and you're sure that you can get there, but don't do this if you're not sure that you can get there late notice, because this industry is like crazy. Like they may call you today and be like, we have a movie for you or we have a commercial for you, but it's, tomorrow at 2 and you have to be able to get there. So if you're able to travel like that, then you can 100% be based in Atlanta and, be flying back and forth to New York, but you just have to make sure that you're able to get there.
Yeah. No, I love that. And so ultimately, the entertainment business is a business that is a lucrative business.
Absolutely.
And again, as I think about, the economy, I think about, adults, worried about jobs and worried about AI. Is AI going to take over things? What's your thoughts, right? Because I think there's there's like this app or this a Sora, right, that does film and it looks realistic.
Yeah.
Is that a real threat to this business, you think?
I mean, it's a threat-ish, but I don't think it's like now or within the next 5 to 10 years where it's just going to completely take over. And we're still, everyone's watching TV. You have Netflix. Like, I don't think we're going to have AI actors on Netflix anytime soon. So you still have time. You still have time to get the business, and get this money.
All right. So say that website again where people could.
It's modelmakermasterclass.com.
So modelmakermasterclass.com. Now, when you think about this story, right, of you, again, struggling, trying to figure things out, to now being running a 7-figure business, what are some things that you've learned as a 7-figure business owner that is different from when you were struggling? What are some of those things?
We could be here forever.
Yeah.
So when I say I was broke, like I was another level of broke. Like I should win an award. Like I was broke, right? So I was evicted 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
7 cars repossessed. Wow. Matter of fact, I left that comment on somebody's post the other day, and they're going in on me. They're like, 7 times? You didn't learn your lesson? So coming from being that impoverished to making the kind of money that I started making, it was definitely a mindset shift.
Was it bad decisions, or it was just circumstantial?
I feel like it was supernatural struggle. That's what I call it. Like I really feel like if I hadn't been there, I wouldn't be inspiring the people that I'm inspiring now.
Wow.
And there's so much of it that felt like it was meant. There's some bad decisions in there, of course. But a lot of it was just like, God, when are we going to get a break? Like, it would be things like, one time the steering went out on the van. So I pulled over to the side, left it there, got a ride home. We came back to tow it. Someone stole the car. There's one time we got a car and then the next day they called us and said the financing fell through and they took it back. There's one time we got a car and then we got up on the freeway and although they did all these checks on it, like it starts smoking and shaking and then we lost that one. Like there's just all kinds of stuff. Wow. My son was born super sick and that set us back because we're going back and forth to the hospital and a lot of things happened that were out of our control. But like I said, when you come from that kind of poverty into the money that we started making, you know, you don't know what to do with it. Like the same mistakes that you were making with the little are the same mistakes that you start making with the lot. So I really had to learn, and still learning, how to manage that. And it all starts with the mind. It starts with, you know, understanding that you can't keep making the same decisions and expecting different results, which is what we were doing. So, you know, just a mindset shift. When you start making that kind of money, it's imperative. And really, you need to probably shift your mind before you start making that kind
absolutely, I agree.
Right.
I agree.
So, you know, I'm still learning, and there's a day that I'm like, I made the last year that I worked a 9 to 5, I made $14,000, right? I went from making $14,000 in an entire year to making $14,000 in a day. Wow. And I'm like, where is the money? Because if I can make that stretch over 365 days, baby, where's the money? Right. Like, where is it? Right. It's confusing. Yeah. Like, I did my first 6-figure month back in March of 2021. And I'm celebrating because we see that it came in. Yeah. We see a 1,001, 101,000. Right. But baby, where is it? Like, I can't find it. Right. So that like really put things in perspective. Like, we have to figure out where this money is going. Like, we have to tell it where to go and not ask where it went. So, you know, I'm still, like I said, I'm still learning. I'm gonna tap in with all your financial 100%. Stuff and figure this thing out. But and then also just it told me what was possible. And there's nothing like having your mind opened to what you can believe for. I have no college degree. I was in school and I had like 3 classes left, and I had to quit because the business had started booming. Wow. But it's just taught me to believe in myself like I never believed in myself before. Yeah. I have no type of formal training, but I'm a hell of a salesperson, and I always have been. Any 9 to 5 I had, I was the top salesperson, and all my coworkers started hating on me. But I got to use those same skills that I was using to sell out at Clinique. I used to work at Clinique. I was the top salesperson. They absolutely loved me, the management. But I'm like, I'm using all these skills that I have to sell for someone else. Certainly there's something that I can be doing for me. I've sold peanuts in the stands of NASCAR. I've sold Cutco knives door to door. I've sold flowers door to door. I have, like, anything that you can sell, I sold, except for drugs. I didn't try that. I didn't dabble. I was close. But like, I believe in myself.
Right, you from
so
Buffalo too, so we know what happens sometimes.
Anyway, but yeah, it taught me what's possible. Like, I am a beast. Yeah. That's what it taught me. When I first got started, I didn't have money to run ads or to do any of that kind of stuff. I just said, you know what, I'm going to teach people how to do this. Well, how are you going to do it? Well, the library's free, so I'm going to sit at the library and talk to these people. And I would literally talk to them for an hour for $30. But back then, to me, that was good money. Right. And then one more thing it's taught me, and I was talking to one of my mentees about this, when I first got started. So I had the $30 package where I would spill my guts. And then I had an $89 package where they would get the kit and caboodle. So they got, they got, baby, it was premium. They got a whole photo shoot, right? Then I would still talk to them for an hour. And it was like this whole, I probably wasn't making any money like I thought it was. Right. But to me, at that point in time, $89 was a lot of money.
And that's important, though. So yeah,
yes,
it's important.
Let me go there. So I'll never forget, I was at the library because I was still doing my one-on-one consultations there. And I would do my $30 package, and then I would tell them, we have an event coming up. We can get your photo shoot done, and we can get all this knocked out in a day. And I would be so terrified to tell them it was $89. But there was this one person. Her name is Jessica Mays, if you're watching. And I was like, it's $89. We can do a payment plan on $89. But that was my reality. Right. And because it was my reality, 100%. I was projecting that and assuming that everybody was broke, right? Yeah. Jessica said, oh, no, I don't need a payment plan. She's like, I can pay right now. How do I pay? And she pulled out her phone and she cashed out me $89. Yeah. That was a life-changing moment for me. Yeah. Like, I'm literally getting chills now because I was like, she just paid $8, like, she must be rich. I remember calling my husband like, babe, I think she's rich because she just paid the $89. She didn't have to split it up. And then he's in the parking lot talking about, she just left it a BMW. She must be rich. But now it cracks me up. But that was our mindset. Right. Baby girl paid $89 whole dollars. And I said, this is rich. Right? But because that's where I was. Yeah. So then when I created my bigger package that I have now, my package now is $2,000, and it's probably not even enough, but I made it $650. I was like, I'm going to do this thing where I do all the work for people, my VIP program. I made it $650, but I was giving them my leg. I was going to come to their house and record. Literally, you should see. I wish I still had the package. I was giving them everything. I was giving them a one-on-one consultation. I was going to record a reel for them. I was going to do a photo shoot. Like, I had this whole, because I didn't believe that what I had was valuable enough, so I'm adding all these other things onto it. Right. And as I elevated in what I have, like as far as financial resources, now it's like I believe that everybody's on that level.
Absolutely.
Whatever you believe for yourself is what I was projecting. So I'm thinking they don't have money because I didn't have any money.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I love that because same thing. You know, when I started teaching people about how to write books and create a business, I remember I was giving it away. I think my first package was like $200. Then I was charging like $2,000. And the light bulb hit me actually where I had a student who I forgot, I charged him a couple of $1,000s, and then he made $200,000. And I said, wait.
Right.
I said, hold up.
Wait.
I said, wait a minute.
Yep.
What? Stop. Wait a minute. I said,
Literally.
hold on. Stop working. And then as I started to have a little more confidence in what I was teaching, I then realized that it's a fair deal, right? And so, you know, the most I've charged for my services is $50,000 so far. I'm still trying to figure out, because a mentor of mine has a $300,000 package. Ooh. And I'm not there yet.
Right.
I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Right. And his package is for a day.
Okay.
Right. So y'all might know who I'm talking about. Right. My mentor charges $300,000 for you to spend one day with him. Wow. And people have paid it though.
Right.
That's another thing.
You can
right?
set a
One
price.
thing to say, I'm gonna charge $1 million, but you set a price that people actually pay. So I'm still working on that, but I hope people caught what you said, that having that belief system matters more, right? Than, because whatever you believe, and, universally, when you believe it, you start to project it, sooner or later, the universe is going to move some things out the way and make it so. Yeah. So if you think $89 is a lot, then it's going to be a lot. But if you start thinking, hey, I'm worth a 7-figure business, then you will have a 7-figure business.
And just like you said, I have a client, I was actually on an Instagram live and I was like, I'm just going to give free information, right? Kind of like the masterclass, because you don't really need to register. I'm like, I'm going to give information away about how to get started, and I'm going to give you 3 tips, and I want to see who uses it. And actually, baby girl took notes. The next day, her son got signed to an agency, and he's now signed with 3 agencies, and she's made $20,000. Wow. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't think y'all were actually gonna do it. Now I need 10%. Exactly, I need a shrimp dinner or something So I have to realize that what I have is valuable, and I don't try to explain myself anymore or like prove myself. I have people even still, they're like, well, what have you done? What can you show me? I'm like, baby, you came to me.
Exactly.
You booked a call with me. Like, you can Google me respectfully.
Exactly. And then Google me.
Google me and then come back. So.
All right, y'all. So look, powerful episode. This was fun. This was fun. I'm glad we had this conversation. I'm definitely gonna join your masterclass.
You should.
And we're gonna connect because like I said, I got these 2 babies who are really expensive though too. Yeah. Right. And so they need to start paying for some of their stuff. And this is the answer to that. So we appreciate you. If people want to connect with you, where can they find you?
Instagram is my favorite place to live. So it's Kayla Model Maker, but it's KLA Model Maker. My name is spelled funny. So KLA Model Maker.
All right. So, and then where can they find the masterclass?
Modelmakermasterclass.com.
All right, y'all. We are closing out the vault. Make sure you go to modelmakermasterclass.com. Look, I already know with this interview, she's giving you a lot of information. Go take that free masterclass so you can learn some more. Make sure you put them babies to work. They are eating you out of a house and a home, and this is your chance for retribution. So take advantage of it. Thank you so much for joining us. We are closing out the vault. Another awesome episode of Inside the Vault with Ash Cash. Make sure you visit us, InsideTheVaultShow.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at Inside the Vault. Me, I am Ash Cash. Make sure you visit me, IamAshCash.com. Follow me on all social media platforms at I am Ash Cash. Also, make sure you join us inside of the Abundance Community. Go to theabundancecommunity.com, and I will see you next time, same place, in God's will. All right, y'all. Peace.